Is the latest in a slew of deadly attacks in and around courtrooms in Cape Town. Last month, a man was shot dead in front of the Mitchells Plain Magistrates Court and another man was wounded. In April, a 50-year-old man was killed in the corridors of the Wynberg Magistrates Court. Broken metal detectors have been identified as one of the reasons for the frequent security breaches in local courts. Deputy Justice Minister Andre Snell is being briefed by Athlone Magistrates Court officials in a closed meeting on the circumstances surrounding last week's deadly shooting at the entrance of the courthouse. Ndutuzelo Nene, Eyewitness News in Athlone.
We shift our focus to this now. Gauteng teenagers are set to benefit from an HPV single-dose vaccine campaign across schools in the province today. The Gauteng Health Department says this initiative is aimed at reducing the risk of cervical cancer in young girls. According to the Cancer Association of South Africa, this is the second most common cancer amongst women in the country. Health Department spokesperson Motaletale Mudiba has assured parents that the vaccine is both safe and effective.
This life-saving initiative highlights the importance of immunizing girls before the age of 15, as early protection significantly reduces the risk of developing cancer of the cervix or the mouth of the womb later in life.
And in Indonesia, nearly 600 people are still detained following anti-government protests in the country last month. Thousands of people took to the streets against economic inequality and lavish perks for lawmakers. The protests widened to nearly 50 cities across the country, turning violent in some parts. Police say 583 people are still being processed over their roles in the protest action. Gold is trading at $3,612.17 an ounce. The rand is at 17.56 to the dollar, 23.72 to the pound, 20.58 to the euro, and Brent crude oil is at $65.50 a barrel.
Well, at the stage, if you're heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, there's bumper-to-bumper traffic on the M2 westbound. This is between the Crown Interchange and Main Reef Road. Also, in the Mother City roadwork, still causing some delays into outgoing. This is in the right lane approaching Borchard's Quarry. Also, delays further up on the N2 incoming. This is heading towards the R300.
It's a partly cloudy afternoon in Gauteng today. Temperatures have peaked at highs of between 27 and 29 degrees, while Cape Town is fine with a fresh southwesterly wind at a high of 26. The top story in EWN this hour. Police Commissioner Fani Masemula has commended the KZN Political Killings Task Team for the arrest of suspects wanted in connection with the murder of whistleblower Xolani Ntombela.
EWN, in touch, in tune and independent. For the latest, visit ewn.co.za or download the EWN app. You're with Mandy Wiener on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger, think Nedbank Commercial Banking. On the show today, 5 suspects killed in a shootout with police in KZN. The Deputy Minister of Justice visits the Athlone Magistrates Court following a shooting on Friday. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi visits wardens injured in a Davidson shooting. Kat Matlala is back in court and we'll wrap up the weekend sport. All of that over the next hour.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app, DSTV channel 856,
92.7
and 106 FM.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Report on 702 and Cape Talk with me, Mandy Wiener. Good to be with you today. Hey, normally I start a Monday by talking about sport, right? I don't really want to talk about the Springboks, bad weekend. The US Open was amazing. Alcaraz was dominant. Bafana, solid victory there ahead of Nigeria this week. But I just feel like, how do we talk about sport when we see shooting after shooting after shooting happening in this country? And that's dominating the headlines. The news on Friday about Boer van Niekerk, the insolvency lawyer who was assassinated at his law firm, is just alarming. The chilling effect that incidents like this, Clute Murray, Babita Deokaran, if you think about the auditor on the East Rand as well, the Ekurhuleni Metro Municipality Chief Auditor Mpuma Fole, who was investigating Contract, who was murdered, we are seeing a rise in targeted assassinations in this country, and it is extremely, extremely concerning. When the underworld spills over into the overworld, when people are doing business through the barrel of a gun, that's when you really need to be worried. And you've got the situation with the police service at the moment that is in all kinds of disarray. So really concerning what we're seeing. The Global Initiative Against Transnational Organized Crime, who does excellent work when it comes to targeted assassinations, they've done a report on the rise of targeted assassinations. A lot of them are, of course, from the taxi industry, political killings as well, and a very strong editorial in News 24 today, also speaking about how auditors, liquidators, and lawyers, we urgently need a task team on assassinations. Do we need a task team? What do you think the solution is to this? But we need to thwart it, because it really will have a chilling effect on how the criminal justice system operates in this country. Send me a WhatsApp voice note, 072 702 1702, 072 567 1567. Most of our top stories today involve a shooting of some kind. Let's start with the one in KwaZulu-Natal. 5 suspects killed in a shootout with police in KZN this morning. Police say the gun battle started when the police tried to arrest a group suspected of being involved in criminal activities. As you heard in the news bulletin there, the National Commissioner also responding. Colonel Robert Nechiunda, the KZN police spokesperson, joining us now. Colonel, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time today. Tell us about what led to this incident.
These are the suspects that as police were looking for some time for cases of murder, extortion, house robberies in the areas of the Mpumalanga Township, here in KwaZulu-Natal, Mariani Hill, Kwandengezi, and others. And we got intelligence that they were hiding at their hideout spot at an informal settlement in Chatsworth. When we arrived this morning, that's when they shot at police, and police were left with no other choice but to protect themselves and those who were around by returning fire. And during that shootout, that's where 5 suspects were shot and fatally wounded.
I was watching on Newsroom Africa on the television earlier, and it looked as though this incident occurred in a very dense, shacked area. How difficult was it for you logistically, for the officers to get in there to be able to deal with this, and how much concern was there for surrounding people?
What we have seen of late in our province is that criminals are strategic. They will go and commit crime somewhere else, but go and hide in these informal settlements where it shakes all over, where police can't really go and patrol through the shakes. And it's easy for them to hide there because nobody will tell the police that they are criminals, or they're not known to be criminals because they just come there maybe to sleep and they go in the morning, commit crime somewhere. So for the police, it was challenging that it is a densely populated area. The shack is close to other shacks, and when they shot at police had to be precise so that no bullet spills through to another shack.
And was anybody else wounded in the incident, or was it only the 5 suspects?
It was only the 5 suspects who were shot and fatally wounded, nobody else. And we are pleased that no police officer also sustained any injury during the incident.
Colonel, thank you very much. Colonel Robert Nechiunda, KZN police spokesperson, speaking to us there about that incident occurring earlier today in Chatsworth. So that group of suspects, all believed to be involved in a variety of crimes. A search is yet to be done thoroughly. They have recovered firearms. One of them is believed to be a homemade gun as well. So that incident involving those suspects who were apparently terrorizing communities of Mpumalanga Township, Marion Hill, and Umzunduzi area with murders, house robberies, and extortion. Again, really, really strong work by the police in KZN.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
12 minutes past 12 on the Midday Report. Also happening today, the Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has been visiting Gauteng traffic wardens in Davidson following a shooting over the weekend. So he has been to see them. He's also spoken about this violence that we're seeing. Take a listen to what Panyaza Lesufi had to say.
We've got people that are hell-bent to cause massacres across our province. The numbers vary. They claim that between 11 and 20 people wearing black clothes ambushed them. And it's quite clear that when they arrived, because one of their members was just coming back from a funeral, and they had to escort him home. It's a departmental funeral. And after they've dropped the member, when they were going back to their post, that's when they saw an Avanza that switched on the lights, when they saw the team. And immediately after that, they came under heavy attack, which is an indication that they either disrupted the mission or these people were going to cause more damage. And that is why I said to them, I appreciate their courage. I appreciate that they took a bullet on behalf of all of us, because you don't know 11 to 20 people carrying AK-47 where would have ended if they were not disturbed by these young men and women. And I wish them a speedy recovery. I've asked the team to compile us a full report just to check indeed that the necessary protocols were followed. But I have no doubt on the basis of the report they gave me that they were just executing their normal work.
Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi speaking there. Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, is with the Premier. Tabiso, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Take us through what else the Premier had to say.
Good afternoon, Mandy. As you said, we are here at the Alberton Netcare Hospital in Ekurhuleni. Now, we do understand that there were 5 people that were injured from that incident that happened yesterday and Sunday morning, and we do understand that the driver of the vehicle that the Gauteng crime wardens were traveling in has been discharged. The four other members are still here. 3 of them are stable, but 1 is in very critical condition. The Premier, Panyaza Lesufi, saying that, they're worried about 1 member who's actually been shot near the shoulder and has lost a lot of blood, and he's not responsive. The Premier was actually up there to actually speak to some of the injured, and he said, he's very worried about that 1 person. But obviously, Mandy, we did have a Q&A with the Premier around training and around the arming of the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens. What we do know is that the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens are peace officers. So at this stage, as we currently speak, Mandy, they do not have sort of a license or do not have the proper training to actually carry firearms. So Premier Panyaza Lesufi said, yes, this is an unfortunate incident, but at this matter, at this current stage, until they get that training and until they get the proper requirements and all those other processes and protocols that have to be followed, they are not going to be armed, because the Gauteng Crime Prevention Wardens act as support to the police. So they support the SAPS, they support the Metro Police, who are armed, but as we currently speak, they are not going to be armed, Mandy.
Do we have any inclination as to what the motive was? So the Premier explaining the circumstances there, but do we have a proper sense of the motive?
Well, at this stage, Mandy, we don't have sort of the motivations. But what we do understand, Mandy, is that this happened near a railway station here in Davidson. It happened near an informal settlement that is known to actually house. And considering that the kind of firearms that they actually carried when they did this attack, we do know that they carried AK-47. So what the Premier suspects, and he has spoken to some of the survivors, they were actually survivors or people who didn't get hurt from the incident. So what the Premier suspects is that they disrupted some kind of operation that they were going to. Obviously a very serious operation, considering they were carrying AK-47s.
Interesting. Tabiso, thank you very much. Tabiso Goba, EWN reporter, speaking to us there about that incident which occurred in Davyton yesterday. Those 5 wardens being shot, the Gauteng Premier, Panyaza Lesufi there. I mean, what do you think about the notion of traffic wardens or these kind of individuals that are meant to be bolstering the police? They're not armed, so does it leave them vulnerable? What are your thoughts?
702.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
Well, as I warned you, we are pretty much staying on this theme of either shootings or targeted assassinations, and we'll go back to KwaZulu-Natal now because the KZN traditional leader accused of killing 2 people, including a DA councillor, appearing in court today. Simpiwe Zuma facing 3 murder charges after an investigation by the KZN Police's Political Killings Task Team. Remember, of course, that's the task team that is mired in controversy because it's been shut down, reinstated, and at the center of General Mkwanazi's allegations. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, joining us now. Nhlanhla, good afternoon to you. Tell us about this traditional leader and what the allegations are.
Well, Mandy, the latest case now, which EWN exclusively broke last night, was the fact that he's been charged while behind bars with the 2022 murder of Olani Ndlovu, who was shot and killed also in the Masosheni area, where this particular chief, Simpiwe Eric Zuma, allegedly sold land. Now he was charged by the political task team. And you'd recall the talk of the 121 dockets that were brought back to KwaZulu-Natal from Pretoria. And these are the dockets that came under spotlight when Provincial Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi spoke about them in that media briefing where he made the explosive allegations. This particular case now, Mandy, is part of those 121 dockets. When those dockets landed in KwaZulu-Natal, the political killings task team then established that actually they were supposed to urge this particular charge and arrest in this matter. The Inkosi has appeared now alongside his co-accused Tembelani Mbata, who's also facing another count in a separate matter because he was arrested back in 2023. This particular Inkosi and the other co-accused were arrested by the political task team in July in this matter. He appeared briefly for that one, but because of the absence of the lawyer representing accused two, it has been paused. And now they are back in the Nhlalayen Zandlovu case. Nhlalayen Zandlovu is the councillor of the DA was shot and killed in the Mpopomeni area where this particular Inkosi presides as a traditional leader, Mandy. We've now taken a short adjournment, but he's submitting basically his affidavit in his bail application as he tries to score bail in this matter, but the state is opposing, Mandy.
I just want to try and understand here. So this traditional leader that you speak of, Simpiwe Zuma, do we know what role he played? I mean, is he a hitman and an inkabi for hire, or is he involved in organizing the hitmen?
He's the alleged mastermind behind all the killings, mainly. But in his affidavit, he's of course denying that, but the state is pointing everything to him and the fact that these were people who were disrupting, allegedly, his operations of selling the land in and around this area, which is what led to them being killed. That's the case that was put forward by the state. This Simpiwe Zuma, you probably know him, a very staunch supporter and relative of the former president, who's known. So a lot of people that are here now, among Amalala Clan, are also here to support the Indona. They believe he's got nothing to do with these particular charges. But according to the political task team, this is the man who orchestrated and carried out that hit where a DA councillor Nhlalayen Zandlovu was shot and killed in full view of his children and his wife, Pretty Ndlovu.
Nhlanhla, this is, of course, all playing out against the backdrop of this controversy around the political killings task team in KwaZulu-Natal. What sense do you get there about how people are viewing that task team, what this case means for the task team?
With this case, Mandy, or this particular Inkosi being arrested by the political task team in 3 different cases, it goes back to the fact that, especially with the latest charge, Mandy, like I've said, it comes from the 121 dockets. You'd recall that the 121 dockets, over 107 of them are murder cases. This, according to people in the province, Mandy, speaks to the fact that had these dockets were kept in Pretoria, if they were still kept in Pretoria gathering dust, quote unquote, as the provincial commissioner said, such cases, this additional charge would have not been added to this, because the original docket for this particular investigation, which was started in November 2022, was still in Pretoria. So according to people, they say this is positive for them. And you'd recall that not so long ago, the same political task team arrested now the alleged main mastermind behind the murder of Cindy Somakaka, because in his closing affidavit, advocate Lawrence Saba, who's also the deputy director of the NDPP in the province, had actually said that the state has it on good authority that on the Cindy Somakaka case, they've now got the mastermind. And he then goes as far as saying, unfortunately, your co-accused is now late, and is referring to the former mayor of Mzimkhulu, that's Mluleki Ndobe, who died after shooting himself years ago. But these cases, Mandy, which also came under, you'd recall the Cindy Somakaka matter came under spotlight shortly after the establishment of this particular task team. When President Cyril Ramaphosa appointed the team, a lot of people were saying one of the cases that should be brought forward was that of Cindy Somakaka. And then, of course, the issue of traditional leaders, which has been a concern in KwaZulu-Natal. I mean, between 2021 December and 2022 December, over 29 traditional leaders have been killed in KwaZulu-Natal in assassinations. So according to the people, this is yielding good results, but we're yet to see as those 121 dockets are being investigated next.
Nhlanhla, thank you very much. Nhlanhla Mabaso, EWN reporter, reporting from court there on that KZN traditional leader accused of killing 2 people, including a DA councillor, being arrested for yet another murder. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
What do partners of the Gates Foundation do when facing the world's toughest challenges? They keep going. From discovering a plastic drape that helps detect excessive postpartum bleeding faster, to developing better bed nets to kill malaria-carrying mosquitoes, to researching an RSV vaccine that could save hundreds of thousands of children. For every problem, there are people who prove that progress is possible. The Gates Foundation, partners of human potential. Learn more at gatesfoundation.org/keep going.
Every day, South Africans are being squeezed to make ends meet. That's why there's Still Good, a new online platform where you can save up to 65% on groceries by buying Still Good value bags, packed with groceries by leading retailers that are still perfectly good, just close to their sell-by date. You win by saving, retailers win by cutting food waste, and communities win as Still Good donates 10% of their earnings to food charities. Visit stillgood.co.za. Start getting more bang for your buck with Still Good.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car on the way to the hospital, carrying an elderly couple, playfully bantering about who their first grandchild will look like. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic. It's bringing 2 generations together. Every story is different, and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005, in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
And now, it's back to Mandy Wiener on the Midday Report.
This is 702.
Let's walk the talk.
12:26 on the Midday Report with me, Mandy Wiener. Well, let's stay on this theme of organized crime and all sorts of things related to allegations made by Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi. The Alexandra Magistrates Court today is where Vusimuzi Kat Matlala is appearing again, the controversial businessman continuing with his bail application, a quest for freedom. And he is accused of ordering a hit on his ex-girlfriend, but maintains he is innocent. The police are trying to frame him. Mongezi Koko, EWN reporter at court for us. Mongezi, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Tell us about that court appearance today.
Good afternoon, Mandy. Well, today's court appearance comes at the back of a submission by Vusimuzi Kat Matlala, his bail affidavit, which included around about 103 pages where he was trying to convince the court to release him on bail. Now, some of the issues that were raised in this said bail affidavit, Mandy, included how Vusmuzi Katmatlala is apparently in possession of a Mauritius bank account where the state alleges that he has over $100,000, roughly 1.8 million rand in that account, adding to the fact that he also paid an alleged sum of 100,000 rand to accused number 5 in the matter to execute the execution, or rather the hit on actress Tebogo Tobejane. Among other things that were raised were the issues of him possessing a boat and a private jet, all of which he denies. But Mandy, very important to note is that the state also brought forward its point of contestation around the fact that Vusmuzi Katmatlala managed to go to Eswatini 3 times, and how he did this was on foot. So they were just highlighting that these sort of things are quite odd. They also pointed out a fake identity document from the Kingdom of Eswatini where he listed his surname as Dlamini. So many of these things really coming out as processions are underway right now.
Mongezi, thank you very much. Mongezi Koko, EWN reporter in Courthouse, where Vusmuzi Katmatlala, charged with conspiracy to commit murder and attempted murder in the Alex Magistrates Court today, continuing his application for bail.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Afternoon, Mandy. It's unfortunate what happened to the Gauteng wardens, also known as Amapanyaza. But honestly speaking, I think that whole department is the biggest gimmick ever. Those people do absolutely nothing. You must come here in the Rodekrans area. You must see how they walk around aimlessly. No direction, none whatsoever. The biggest gimmick.
Well, this is the concern, right, is that if they are going to ostensibly be law enforcement officers, then are they sufficiently trained and are they sufficiently armed? Because this is, it's not the UK. You can't have police officers without guns in this joint because everyone's shooting everyone, is from what the news cycle seems to be telling us at the moment. So is it a good idea for us to have these Amapanyaza, these traffic wardens, or is it just a gimmick? Because the result is what we're seeing, 5 of them in hospital at the moment. 12:30, time for Eyewitness News headlines.
Thanks, Mandy. A very good afternoon. One of the 5 Gauteng crime prevention wardens injured during a shooting in Davidton in Ekurhuleni yesterday remains in a critical condition. The officers were attacked with an AK-47 rifle and a gun during a routine patrol search at the Davidton railway station. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has visited the wardens in hospital today, where he condemned the attack. National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has urged the KZN Political Killings Task Team to leave no stone unturned in investigating cases related to 121 case dockets. The dockets were returned to the task team last week after being taken away and assigned to a team at the National Office in Pretoria. The unit has now made a breakthrough with one of the cases, with the arrests of 2 suspects in connection with the 2022 murder of whistleblower Xolani Ntombela. An alleged underworld figure, Vusmuzi Katmatlala, is back in the Alex Magistrates Court, where his bail application is continuing. Matala is accused of orchestrating a 2023 hit on his ex-girlfriend, actress Tebogo Tobejane. Those are the headlines. This EWN and more at 1 or as it happens.
EWN Sport.
Good afternoon, I'm Anthony Teixeira. The Springboks have named a new look backline for the second tests against the All Blacks in New Zealand. Sasha Feinberg and Ngomezulu comes in at fly-half with Damian Willemse at centre. Kanan Moody makes a switch from the wing to the midfield, while Cheslin Colby retains the number 14 jersey with the other wing Ethan Hooker, who gets a first start for the Boks. And Napalele Fassi replaces Vili Leroux as fullback. Here's head coach Rassie Erasmus.
So, we win this game, we're back in the rugby championship mix and we still right in world rankings. So it's a bit of both. Obviously some players, like some coaches, some of us, disappointed. But I don't think it was through a lack of trying though.
Meanwhile, the All Blacks haven't come out of Eden's Park's win over the world champs completely unscathed. Dakota Taylor and Imoni Nawara have picked up injuries and will be replaced by George Bell and Caleb Clark. Well, the Springbok women lost their first game at the Rugby World Cup to France as they were downed 57-10. They're set to meet, just like the men do, New Zealand Saturday. While in cricket, the Proteas are the new world record holders for the biggest ever run defeats in an ODI after being dismissed for just 72 runs in that run chase. They lost by 342 runs to England. In tennis, Carlos Alcaraz won a second US Open men's singles title, while Arina Sabalenka won the women's title. In F1, we had Max Verstappen winning the Monza Grand Prix ahead of the McLaren duo Norris and Piastri, and Alex Marquez ended his brother's Mark's run of 15 successive race and sprint victories as he claimed the Catalan GP. Anthony Teixeira, Eyewitness News Sport.
EWN Traffic.
Well, at this stage, if you are heading in and out of the Joburg CBD, there's still slow-moving traffic. This is on Main Reef Road between Production and Anderson Street. In the Mother City, there's also slow-moving traffic due to roadworks. N2 outbound, this is heading towards Broadway Boulevard. Also slow-moving traffic on the N2 incoming, heading towards the R300. If you're in the Philippi area, Hosana, there's slow-moving traffic. This is due to a stationary truck heading towards Hospital Bend. Also, slow-moving traffic on the N2 incoming between Heidelberg Road and Swollen Dam due to an earlier accident. If you come across any other traffic issues, please WhatsApp us on 072-702-1702.
There's more EWN on air, online, and on the EWN app.
At Trinity House, authentic Christian values empower our students to succeed together. With passionate teachers and expert coaches, we support your child in reaching their full potential in the classroom and in life. Join us for our open day on Saturday, 13 September from 9 to 12 at our campuses in Centurion, Glen Vista, Rand Park Ridge, and Little Falls. RSVP now at trinityhouse.co.za. Trinity House, succeeding together.
Soccer and speed meet this season with Hollywood Bets and Aziz Shege. Be in the game. The thrilling competition sees 4 million rand in cash and prizes up for grabs. The first of 4 brand new vehicles is a top-of-the-range Toyota Rumian. Simply bet 10 rand or more on any soccer fixture or fixtures online or at your nearest branch to qualify. Feel the fever and bet now on the action. T's and C's apply. Hollywood Sportsbook is a licensed betting operator. No persons under the age of 18 years are permitted to gamble. Winners know when to stop. South African Responsible Gambling Foundation toll-free counseling line 0800 006 008 or WhatsApp help to 076 675 0710.
Breathe in, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. In, insurance. Breathe out, pineapple. Again. In, insurance. Out, pineapple. Again and again.
Pineapple FSP 48650 is underwritten by Omart Insure Limited, a licensed non-life insurer and authorized FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Mandy. Louis Murray speaking. I agree with you, but is it worth it? I mean, what is going to happen? As soon as someone gets close to something, they just get taken out as well. So what is the point? What is the use? I mean, Clute Murray's, it's just so sad. So what is the point?
Sure. Well, there you have it, right? Louis Murray is the brother of Clute Murray and the uncle of Thomas Murray, who were both shot dead on one of the biggest and busiest highways in this country in the middle of the day on a Saturday a couple of years ago. And that is just an example of what we're dealing with. Louis, thank you so much for sending through that WhatsApp voice notes. I can imagine how difficult it is for you when there has been no accountability. And then on News 24 today, Kyle Cowan tells us about how the police are looking at the wrong vehicle in that case. They've been examining the wrong vehicle. And despite all of Kyle Cowan's investigations, basically laying the breadcrumbs for authorities where to go. Very similar to how Jeff Wicks has done with Babita Deokaran. We're just not seeing the accountability. And for somebody like Louis Murray, who lost his brother and his nephew through a targeted assassination, it's just so worrying what we're seeing, the lack of accountability. And then it happens again. So on Friday, it happened again, where we saw the insolvency lawyer Bouwer van Niekerk being assassinated in the boardroom of his law firm. We have to get a handle on this, because this is not the way that a country can operate when you don't have any kind of respect for the law and everyone is just doing business through the barrel of a gun. It's just not on.
Hi, Mandy. What I find more concerning in regards to this matter with the crime wardens is the fact that JMPD has unarmed members supposedly protecting citizens. As medics, you respond to scenes and expect JMPD to be there to protect you. And when they are asking you to stick around for their protection, you begin to wonder.
Yeah, exactly. I'm worried about the situation with the traffic wardens. I understand the intention to try and have some kind of awareness and more visibility, but I worry that if they are not actually performing any real duties, does it just put them at risk, as we've seen in this incident in Davidson?
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener is brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently.
And just to stay on this topic, we told you on Friday about how there was a shooting at the entrance to the court in Athlone, the Athlone Magistrates Court. There was a shooting incident there, and we're seeing this happen frequently in Cape Town, where either suspects or witnesses or family members or investigators are being shot and killed at courthouses. So today, the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Andries Nel, visiting the Athlone Magistrates Court following that incident on Friday. Ntutuzelo Nene, EWN reporter, is there for us. Ntutuzelo, good afternoon to you. Thanks for your time. Tell us about, firstly, do we have more detail about that shooting on Friday?
Good afternoon, Mandy. As far as we know, no arrests have been made in connection with that shooting here at the Athlone Magistrates Court. But a few minutes ago, Justice and Constitutional Development Minister, as you have mentioned, Andries Nel, and a Western Cape Judge President Nolwazi Mabindla Bokwana briefed the media just outside the same court where that shooting occurred on Friday. They were talking to us about the outcomes of their 2-hour closed meeting that they had at the same building this morning. And this meeting, as you have mentioned, Mandy, was prompted by that deadly shooting in here at the Athlone Magistrates Court, but also other shootings as well that have taken place recently around some of the courts in Cape Town, including last week in Mitchell's Plain, or 2 weeks ago in Mitchell's Plain, and also in April at the Wynberg Court. Some of the short-term measures that they've outlined include beefing up security in and around the courts, and also involving the police in those security operations. The Deputy Minister and the Judge President both reiterating the need for collaboration in terms of the security around the court building, saying that these shootings are demoralizing for the staff that has to come in and out of these courtrooms to work every day, and the people that are coming to attend different court cases in this building. So they're trying by all means to ensure that the people that are inside here and the people that are on the periphery of the courthouses are safe.
It's an interesting one, right? Because there's not that much that they can do beyond making the courthouse itself safe. So they can ensure that people who are coming there are safe. But outside the courthouse, if somebody wants to kill a witness that's on their way, there's very little to stop them.
That's one of the questions that we posed to the minister earlier today. And he's saying that, part of beefing up security will mean that security and the police will be stationed outside the courthouses, like on the streets, be visible on the streets, so that when people are walking in and out of the courthouses, are safe when they go into their cars or into whatever mode of transport that they'll be using when leaving the courthouses.
Ntutuzelo, thank you very much. Ntutuzelo Nene, EWN reporter at the Athlone Magistrates Court, the Deputy Minister of Justice and Constitutional Development, Andri Snell, visiting that court following a shooting which took place there on Friday.
702.
The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener.
Let's walk the talk.
As I've been ranting about, and rightfully so in my mind, we have seen an increase in the murder of auditors, lawyers and liquidators, targeted assassinations that we've been seeing. A very strong editorial today in News 24 calling for a task team to investigate this. I don't know what the solution is, but we are definitely seeing a really concerning rise in these targeted assassinations. You heard a voice note there from Louis Murray, the brother of Cloete Murray, the liquidator, and his son, Thomas, who was also a liquidator, both being shot and killed. And then we had the shooting of Boa van Niekerk on Friday as well. When does it stop? How do we deal with it? Chad Thomas is a crime expert from IRS Forensic Investigations. Chad, good afternoon to you. You've been in this game for a good few decades. Do you get the sense that things are getting much worse?
Much. Good afternoon to you, man. Good afternoon to the listeners. The only way we can answer that question is to say that bad actors are literally acting with impunity. Nobody seems safe, whether it's journalists, whether it's whistleblowers, whether it's investigators, insolvency practitioners, all are at risk. And what makes it all the more bizarre is in the past, if somebody phoned somebody and threatened them, you'd think, well, forewarned is forearmed. They're obviously not going to do anything. It's just a threat. We're now seeing people following through on those threats. And it just shows us that with lack of consequence and accountability, people are acting out on what can only be termed one's worst nightmare.
You speak of lack of accountability. Is that the fact that we're just not seeing people going to jail, being convicted? So you think of Babita Deokaran, the gunmen, the shooters, the button men were arrested, but the masterminds weren't. With Cloete and Thomas Murray, very similar. We haven't seen any real accountability. What needs to happen then in order to be a deterrent for this to happen going forward?
So firstly, kudos to the media, because the two case studies you used there, the Babita case study and the Cloete and Thomas Murray case study, would never have got to the point of us knowing who the trigger men were if it wasn't for journalists. And that is a sad indictment on our law enforcement agencies, that they're actually having to rely on journalists investigating, journalists following up, and families putting pressure before we see arrests. We have in recent months seen arrests of high-profile figures who we believe are facilitators when it comes to murder for hire, such as Katie Molefe and Vusi Matlala. But like you so rightly mentioned, those that were behind Babita Deokaran's death, we don't know who ordered it. Those guys that are sitting in Swaziland that need to be extradited back, that were involved in AKA's death, we don't know who ordered it. So it's easy to find out who the trigger men are by the looks of things, but very difficult for them to give up the top-tier leadership.
So we do now have the Madlanga inquiry that's looking at politicization of the police and interference. We also have the parliamentary inquiry. The News 24 is calling for a task team to investigate these targeted assassinations. Do you think that's a good idea?
We do. We see that Gauteng, and we have the support of the provincial commissioner as well as the provincial premier, to set up a very similar task team to what's been working and operating in KZN, with great success, I may add, until the time that they were under threat of suspension or disbandment completely. It's necessary, and we need to get away from calling it a political killings task team, because we're seeing that the bad actors within politics are the same bad actors within big business, the same bad actors that are in the underworld, and they're all just using the same modus to silence witnesses. So it needs to be an assassination task team, and we can't have it on a provincial basis. The pilot project in KZN was so successful that it worked up here in Gauteng as well, but we need something with a national footprint and with national resources.
Is that the solution ultimately? How do we not become Mexico?
Mexico, in some ways, was able to actually reverse some of what was happening in their country. We've seen that in El Salvador. We've seen that in Colombia. They went through a bad period of time. The late 90s, early 2000s were horrendous, and that followed on what we saw happening in Colombia in the early 1990s, which then spread to neighboring countries. They seem to be getting a hold on their Sicario situation. Us with our Izinkabi, we're not there yet. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we're seeing a willingness from the state in terms of these commissions, in terms of the parliamentary ad hoc committees, and in terms of the members themselves that are still passionate about what they do to try to turn the situation around.
Chad, thank you very much. A very, very prescient warning there that things are going to get worse before they get better. Chad Thomas, crime expert from IRS Forensic Investigations, speaking to us there. I've been reporting on this for a very, very long time. And yes, there were targeted assassinations in the past, but not the kind of rate we're seeing now. Not with the kind of impunity that we're seeing now. I've never seen anything like this in the past 20, 22, 3 years of reporting on the underworld and on law enforcement. And for me, it's a real worry, the rise in targeted assassinations. JB on the WhatsApp line says, Mandy, please, no euphemisms, not liquidations, it's murder. No, I was talking about a liquidator. I wasn't saying that they got liquidated because that would just be insensitive and a euphemism. What we're seeing here is straight up cold-blooded murder of liquidators, of auditors, of whistleblowers, and it's just terrifying.
One festival, endless flavor, and 2 unforgettable days of timeless music. The DSTV Delicious International Food and Music Festival, powered by Lotto Star, returns on 20 and 21 September at Kyalami Grand Prix Circuit. On Saturday, the stage erupts with Don Toliver, Questa, and Nkabi Zezwe. Then on Sunday, experience the legendary Lauryn Hill, Wyclef Jean, Lyra, and more. The DSTV Delicious Festival, powered by Lotto Star. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
This September, Joburg Theatre brings you a powerful mix of drama, music, and dance. Dancing the Death Drill, adapted from Fred Kumalo's acclaimed novel, tells the tale of Pito Mutaung, a South African soldier forever changed by the tragic sinking of the SS Mandy. The cast features Kwenzo Ngobo, Tuli Tabete, and Clint Brink, with choreography by Luyanda Sidia and original music by Msaki. This is a story of love, loss, and remembrance. Catch it from 9 to 28 September 2025 on the Mandela stage at Joburg Theatre. Dancing the Death Drill, a moment in history brought to life. Book now at joburgtheatre.com.
Every day I'm hustling. It's our reality as business owners. And it's good to know that there's someone out there who takes care of the business that makes the business. Gotta love My Way Business Insurance. Saving big on premiums with 24/7 emergency services, plus My Business Assist with marketing, legal, and labor advice services.
Visit myway.co.za or dial 0860 64 64 64 and get a quote today. My Way is a licensed non-life insurer and FSP. T's, C's, and standard rates apply. My Way. Live your way.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Hi, Mandy. It's Lee here. I just want to say to you guys that this is part of the corruption that is currently happening in SAPS, and these are people that are linked, and that is why they've been taken out, and the hits was ordered a long time ago.
Morning, 702 Land. Vincent here. Mandy, I had said it before that, with regard to the killings that are happening here, whether political or criminal killings and so on, and moreover, with regard to the whistleblowers, people who are trying to do the right things, guns will actually kill them. So I had said it that guns should be banned. If the guns are not banned in South Africa, I'm telling you, this will go on and on and on and on. We'll be talking like this every day. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's definitely become much, much worse than it was. I mean, I wrote a book on whistleblowers, and it came out in 2020, and already then I was raising the concern about whistleblowers and what's going to happen to them. It's something I advocate for. We still don't have new legislation to protect whistleblowers. So what do they expect if they're going to be dealing with corruption? On the WhatsApp line, disgusting. The mafia political bosses have bodyguards while innocent people are dying and whistleblowers died in vain. Rest in peace from a disgusted Renshaw.
Sports Wrap.
Sports Wrap
On 702 and Cape Talk.
Okay, we're going to stop talking about the heaviness and, well, we're going to talk about the Springboks, so that might be a bit heavy. But let's have a look at the weekend sport. Mwande Mateza joining us. Springboks weren't great, eh?
Yeah, good afternoon, Mandy. It's turning out to be a season where not a lot of us are enjoying watching the Springboks. Another very frustrating performance, very underwhelming from the Springboks. And I think that maybe we have to start thinking about the fact that Rassie Erasmus has got an aging squad on his hands. I know a lot of us look at the team on paper, or last week's team on paper especially, and think, well, this is the best that we've got available. But I'm not saying that players like Siya Kolisi, Peter Steph-Tutoy, Ibn Etzebeth and the like are past their sell-by dates. And I'm not saying that they should be tossed aside and space should be made for newer players to come through. But they aren't the players that they were in 2019 or 2023. And we're seeing a lot of that now, that a lot of them don't have the legs to keep up with the New Zealand for 80 minutes. Again, the New Zealand team that featured on Saturday, is it their best? Is it on paper better than South Africa? You'd probably say no, but they put in a more determined performance at the end of the day. And I think some of the South Africans probably have to start thinking about perhaps starting to move on from some guys who aren't going to make it in 2027.
So Rassie's announced his squad for this weekend already. I see Ethan Hooker's in the starting 15. And no Jesse Kriel?
Yeah, it's a much younger team that has been selected. And we've got a new centre combination of Damian Willemse, Kanan Moody. We've not seen them play together. That's going to be interesting. Ethan Hooker's at wing. We've got Sasha van Boom-Gomezulu at fly half. No Andre Pollard on the bench. Mani Labak is there. Andre Esterhuizen's on the bench as well. So it's very untried, untested, and something new. It's one of those where you think that if it goes well, the Springboks should be almost unplayable. But if it goes badly, it could go really, really badly. So yeah, hoping for some good fortune for them on Saturday.
We'll skip over the Proteas yesterday because it was just diabolical, even though they won the series. But Bafana, so we won 3-0 against Lesotho. Keith's asked a question about whether or not we could still lose those points because of this controversy over the yellow cards.
Well, a simple answer is yes. At the moment, FIFA don't have an official complaint that they're dealing with. FIFA or CAF don't have an official complaint from Lesotho. There have been various reports that Lesotho is going to let everything go. And that does seem to be the case. However, FIFA do have the final say on matters such as this. And you can imagine that if it comes down to 2 points or 1 point between South Africa and another nation qualifying, that it will be brought up and it will be taken even further than FIFA, possibly to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. So the best thing for Bafana at this stage is to just keep winning. They've got a 5-point advantage. If they do lose those points, it'll be a 2-point advantage at the top of their group. So if they carry on winning in the matches against Nigeria and Rwanda that are remaining, basically their fate is still in their own hands. So yeah, that's the simple way for Bafana to keep their own destiny under their own control.
Did you stay up to watch the tennis last night?
Absolutely. Would not miss that one
How
for the world.
How good was Alcaraz?
It was.
He was bombing those serves and just so creative in his play.
From the very first game when he broke Sinner's serve. And there was a thing that's like, there were points where Alcaraz had no right to get to. And against any other player, Sinner would have got those points. But there were moments in that match as well where Alcaraz made Sinner look like he didn't belong there. He made him look very ordinary. And that wasn't the case in the second set, for instance, when Sinner almost looked like he was staging a comeback, where it just looked like, well, they were evenly matched and the like. However, for Alcaraz, I think that he was on the day unbelievable, unplayable. There was no chance for Sinner at all. And I think it's also crazy to think that this guy is only 22.
Yeah.
He's nowhere near his best. He's already a 6-time Grand Slam champion. That was never the case with Novak Djokovic or Roger Federer. So to think about what he's capable of is scary. But
How many Grand Slams could he win? Yeah, it's going to be
I
unbelievable.
think we're in for a tennis player that we've never ever seen in our lifetimes before, and that is exciting for me.
Mwande Mateza, thank you so much. Real growth needs more than just banking, and Nedbank Commercial Banking is your growth partner. Their team of industry experts understand your business and its potential, offering insight to help you see opportunity where others see obstacles. Because when you can see what others don't, you can do what others can't. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking. See money differently. Nedbank is a licensed FSP and registered credit provider. T's and C's apply.
Let me get this right, Ron. You're a plumber by day and Pretoria's smoothest wedding DJ by night.
Yeah, it started out as a passion and now I've got bookings until December. And a smoke machine that needs its own seatbelt.
And you sold your car to buy a van through We Buy Cars.
Brew, it was music to my ears. Zero admin, no long queues. They pulled in, checked it out, and before I knew it, I had cash in the bank.
Now that's a banger. We Buy Cars. Geared for your passion, geared for you.
The Outsurance pointsmen know that every car on the road carries a story. There's a car with a shift worker making his way home and daydreaming about his next career move, his next chapter. The Outsurance pointsmen know it's not just a car in traffic, it's a possible light bulb moment that could change someone's life. Every story is different and every story matters. That's why the Outsurance pointsmen have been doing what they do since 2005 in proud partnership with 702. Outsurance is a licensed insurer and FSP.
WhatsApp Mandy
on 072 702 1702.
Mandy, just a bit of correction. It is difficult to establish whether that was an AK-47 unless the rifles are actually taken in. But there are a couple of rifles that actually shoot the same cartridges as an AK-47, which is the 7.62 caliber type of cartridge or ammunition rather. I put this on Panyaza Lusufi's office, how he mischievously gave the designation of peace officers to the Amapanyaza, knowing very well the limitations that they would have. It's actually an exposure on them where they've been operating without law enforcement. They've been operating with SAPs. So I don't really see the purpose of these Amapanyaza green beans, honestly.
Green beans. Is that what you call the Amapanyaza? I should know that. Hey, Palesa? Green beans. I think this is a conversation we're going to continue having, considering 5 of the Amapanyaza currently in hospital, the Gauteng Premier visiting. Sorry, I know it's been a bit of a heavy show, but I cannot be more outraged about the situation with targeted assassinations, violent crime, the escalation. It's really, really worrying. It's 1 o'clock. It's time for Eyewitness News. The Midday Report with Mandy Wiener on 702 and Cape Talk was brought to you by Nedbank Commercial Banking. Think bigger. Think Nedbank Commercial Banking.
This is EWN.
One crime prevention warden remains in a critical condition, and Kat Matlala continues his bid for bail. Good afternoon, I'm Bali Dlamini. One of the 5 Gauteng crime prevention wardens injured during a shooting in Davidton and Ekurhuleni yesterday remains in a critical condition. The officers were attacked during a routine patrol search at the Davidton railway station. Gauteng Premier Panyaza Lesufi has visited the wardens in hospital today, where he condemned the attack. One of the wardens has been discharged from hospital, while 3 others are in a stable condition. Speaking outside the Alberton Netcare Hospital, Lesufi says the incident highlights the growing issue of illegal guns in the province.
When they were going back to their post, that's when they saw an Avanza that switched on the lights when they saw the team, and immediately after that they came under heavy attack, which is an indication that they either disrupted the mission or these people were going to cause more damage. And that is why I said to them, I appreciate their courage.
National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola has urged the KZN Political Killings Task Team to leave no stone unturned in investigating cases related to 121 case dockets. The dockets were returned to the task team last week after being taken away and assigned to a team at the National Office in Pretoria. The unit has now made a breakthrough with one of the cases, with the arrest of 2 suspects in connection with the 2022 murder of whistleblower Xolani Ndombela. Preliminary investigations indicate Ndombela was killed for exposing the illegal sale of land in Emasosheni in KZN. Alfara Mushwana has more.
KZN Police Commissioner Nhlanhla Mkhwanazi 2 months ago made public that 121 case dockets had been removed from the Political Killings Task Team and handed over to the Office of Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, Shadrack Sibiya. However, on the 28th of last month, National Police Commissioner Fani Masemola returned the dockets to the task team, which has already made a breakthrough in at least one of the cases. At the time, Police Minister Firoz Kachalia argued that the dockets should instead be placed in the hands of the soon-to-begin Madlanga Commission of Inquiry for the purpose of its investigations. Police spokesperson Athlenda Mate says the task team is handling the dockets with great care.
General Fani Masemola is really encouraged and impressed with the turnaround time and the swift arrest following the return of the dockets. He says it is encouraging and it is a step in the right direction.
Meanwhile, the Madlanga Commission is set to commence next week. Alfa Ramshwana, Eyewitness News.
In the courts now, alleged underworld figure Vusumuzi Kat Matlala is back in the Alexandra Magistrates Court today, where his bail application is continuing. Matlala is accused of orchestrating a 2023 hit on his ex-girlfriend, actress Tebogo Tobejane. The state is opposing his release, flagging discrepancies in his affidavit. Prosecutors have also told the court that Matlala used a false Eswatini identity under the surname Dlamini, which was linked to his old cell phone number.
2 aspects need to be highlighted here. The movement was on foot and there's no entry showing him to have returned to South Africa. This then raises the question, for what reason did the applicant visit Eswatini for only one night